Welcome to the Zachrilege Cast podcast, YouTube video interview program that features me, Zachrilege, talking to some of the best and brightest in the atheist / secular / awesome community. This is episode number 149. The interview was recorded live on June 26, 2018. Thanks to Jerb the Humanist for talking science, even though I've forgotten it all by now. Blame the beer in Asheville. Check out his YouTube channel. It features no yelling that I'm aware of, and he admits a lack of expertise. How refreshing and confusing. Tonight's guest is the new hotness in atheist podcasting circles. Michael Wiseman asks a lot of questions for a wise person. He's a former evangelical who then read the book and went in another direction. He talks to pastors so the rest of us, me mainly, don't have to. He asks pastors pointed questions on some of the most troublesome passages in the Old and New Testaments. We talked about why God thinks girls are icky, what's up with all the blood and murder, why Christians have such a low bar for sacrifice, and the similarities between our current president and Yahweh. The Bible says what? Intermission music, intermission music. Welcome to the Zachrilege Cast, Michael Weisman.
Hello.
Now see, for the people who are listening to this, you do not know that this guy has a biblical beard. It's a ZZ Top thing he's got going on. You're really missing out. So head on to YouTube and check it out. I am not messing with you. And how do people have so much hair here and then the up top not so much?
I tell my nephew that I sneezed and all my hair fell here and sucked out of the top. That's my explanation.
Still believes that?
They get a kick out of it at least.
Well, we want to get started on tonight's show with some out-of-context quotes because you can blame me. I only listened to 77.8% of the show so far. Actually, 80-some%. Not good with math. 7 of 8? I don't know. You do that yourself. But here's some out-of-context quotes. Now you have to kill that dove because you touched it. He destroyed me, but I knew he was wrong. He says he creates evil, dude. And the last one, which will be a question that'll come up later. Where is the love? Where is the love?
Great
question.
What
are you drinking this evening?
Oh, Don Francisco.
Out of your Batman mug.
Yeah, a little Don Francisco for the evening.
Well, you mentioned that you liked rum barrel beer, so I got it. Prairie Noir. This is serious stuff right here. Imperial Stout aged in Jamaican rum barrels. So I know stouts are considered a winter beer, but I kind of go against the grain. But rum seems summery, so... And this is the color of just about every beer that I like, except for the crazy fruity beers that Jeannie makes fun of for. There we go.
It's always a good season for a beer.
Mm-hmm. And sometimes we go against the grain, so why not with beer? So you do the Bible Says What podcast, and there's question marks and exclamation points involved.
Just one. There's a guy on YouTube that he has like 4 or 5. I'm only an exclamation and a question mark. So the Bible says what? Exclamation, question mark. Don't make it confused. That guy's got a completely different idea of what should be done with the Bible.
Yeah, I would guess. It might be like some of the pastors you talk to. So what made you decide to join the atheist podcasting waters?
Oh, man. It was more of a I had to thing. I have this urge to talk to every pastor I can and ask him why he believes what he believes. And I picked up the Bible one day and went through it, and so many questions came to me. So, well, why do the pastors not know these answers? So I asked them, they don't know. And well, the pastors are the ones that reach the people. So if you want to reach the people, you talk to the pastors. And nobody was really talking to the pastors. So I started doing it. And I hate the sound of my own voice. I have no idea what I'm doing, but here I am. I have to do it. And I love doing it. I can't stop. I won't stop till I talk to William Lane Craig, Not even then.
How do you find the pastors that you talk to? And I've noticed that except for, I think, one person, everybody's been anonymous. Is that on purpose, or is that something that a pastor's like, hey, by the way, you can talk to me, but this whole atheist thing, not so much.
Yeah, it is. It's a mixture of cold calls. It's a mixture of actual interviews, people that want to be on the show. I actually found a really nice lady that wanted to be on the show who was a theist, so that was interesting. Some of them, as in episode 8 or 7, man, I don't know, I don't even remember now. But one of them, at the end, he definitely wants to remain anonymous. So it's a mixture of both. I have a singing cowboy coming up. And halfway through it, I'm not sure if he realized what he was on, the right kind of show, like the doctor. They just see the Bible says what, and they just want to be on the show. Oh, it's Bible related. And they don't realize till it's too late that they really don't want to be on this show. So it's fun. And you know, the pastors are really the stars of the show. If it wasn't for them, I mean, I'd have nothing. Their answers are just astronomical sometimes. Just it baffles me and shocks me and sometimes scares me. There's a couple episodes that'll be coming up where there's a scary guy on there. It scared me a little bit. But it's fun. I'm having a blast, man. I can't stop. I just want to grow and grow.
Well, I thought I will never run out of atheist interview, but I can't imagine how many pastors there are. And even if I can't, there's like no way, like, how's word going to get around? You know, they don't all agree with each other, and they definitely don't talk to each other.
Right.
So whatever back channels the pastors have, you're only going to get, I can't imagine that you'd be blackballed for this. Maybe they'll prepare a little better.
Maybe they'll read the Bible.
Well, what's the format of the show?
Man, it starts off with a question. Like I have like so many questions going on in my head, and half the time I just freak out when I get a pastor or someone really, you know, wants to listen. So I just kind of blurt out a question. Someone asked me if I was prepared for any of this stuff. No, I'm really not prepared. It just comes off the top of my head. I mean, I'll start with a specific topic or story or whatnot, but it just blossoms off of there and really just dives into their beliefs and how much they really don't know or deflect, you know, what they do know. It's always fun. I love it. Fantastic.
Well, how often does the show come out? And how many episodes are we in now?
8 was this Sunday, so I'm working on episode 9. Episode 9 will have a special guy at the end who will be a 2-parter. Yeah, he's a lot of fun. I just leave it at that. I don't want to give away too much. But, episode 9 will be out this week or this Sunday. Just getting started, man. Just getting started.
Do you have, you mentioned William Lake Craig, do you have other kind of dream guests? You thinking, was like Ken Ham?
Ken Ham,
somebody.
Ray Comfort, maybe. Banana Man.
Ryan Fisher would be good.
I'm not familiar with him.
What is he?
Like I said, I'm just starting out.
He's a pretty well-known friend of mine, Robert Stanley, does The Right to Reason. He's like you. He likes to interview Christians and believers, and he's had some pretty high up guys on there. And it seems like maybe the Hovens. You got the Kent Hovind. You got the Eric Hovind.
That'd be big for the show. Yeah, I'd love that. Yeah, man. If anybody can get a hold of anybody big like that, man. Forever grateful. That'd be fantastic. I never thought I'd be doing this. First off, like I said, I don't even like the sound of my own voice, let alone being able to carry on a full-blown conversation with a theology major. I mean, I got no special schooling. I barely made it through high school as it is, you know. I just picked up the book and came up with questions. Fun stuff.
So obviously you know your Bible and you have it well marked to the parts you want to refer to, and off the top of your head, it seems like you have to come up with some of the mentions. So do you have to read it constantly, or have you just dug into it recently and you know the parts that you kind of want to talk about?
Well, I actually started writing a book about it first called The Bible Says What? The book. And that's where all my questions went into the book and explanations for you can find different things, and with my own style, of course. And I was like, wait, this has to be the podcast. Because that's what I'm doing. I'm calling pastors. I'm interviewing them. So it became The Bible Says What? The podcast. Eventually the book will be done. I'm still fiddling with it. It's tough. Writing. Never done that before either, but here I am. I don't know, it's an urge. I have to do this. And I feel that religion is so detrimental to society as a whole and humankind that somebody has to say something. Somebody has to speak up against it. And like I said, the pastors are the ones that reach the people. So if you want to reach the most amount of people, you've got to reach the pastors. And these are the ones that teach it and preach it, but they don't really know it. Then nobody asks them the tough questions. So I stepped in and did it because I couldn't really find anybody that was doing it the way I was doing it. And I guess I have a more of aggressive and blunt tone than most. So here we are.
Now, do you recommend drinking while listening to the show? Is there any drinking while recording?
There is a drinking game that one of the fans created where every time I ask somebody, where's that in the Bible, you take a shot. So that is a drinking game. I'm not sure how many people actually play that. But other than that, I mean, drinking or high, I mean, listen to the show. Make sure you take notes because there's a lot of important stuff in there.
By the way, Jeannie, who's in the chat room, this is the naan. You want to see it? There it is. I'll be eating it after the show. You know, sometimes show prep is a difficult situation. Okay, man, the drinking game part already came up. I was going to mention it. Oh, man. So what is your own personal religious background?
Before we get to that, are there people that know about the drinking game in the chat room there?
Not yet. I was going to ask
gotcha.
about that. I feel like because there are people who've done kind of like the bingo card for shows because there's standard things that come up. And I feel like this would be a good one. And the where is the love question would be on there, but the where is the love answer just feel like hasn't quite really come up yet. Other than, well, when the God killed himself for the sacrifice that he set up for the blood that he needed of his own blood. I mean, at least you don't ask if Jesus and God are the same thing than who impregnated Mary. When, if you ask that question, it's probably not. It's probably not going to. There probably won't be a continuation of that interview after that.
There are certain questions that do tend to cut the interview short.
I'm sure it'll be a spiritual conception type situation,
Yeah, magic, But yeah, how I started, I was raised in the church. Both my parents are pastors. And I love the quote. My mom used to tell me that I didn't really know my Bible. I knew it, but I didn't really know it. So, and that always stuck with me. So now I know it, and here we are. I know a podcast. So.
But are you the one, like since you're wearing the black shirt, are you the black sheep in the family? Or are you like the one known non-believer?
I am. I'm kind of the black sheep, kind of swept under the rug. I mean, I love my family. They love me. There's a lot of love there. It's just we don't really talk about the belief or non-belief. I haven't really come out fully, but they all understand.
What version of Christianity were you raised in?
Evangelical, holy roller, rolling on the floor, praising Jesus, all that fun stuff.
So is there speaking in tongues involved in that one?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Shalom Aleichem.
So did you ever have a point where you had to fake it? Or
no.
You think you can...
Good question.
I think I've asked, have people who have spoken in tongues, could you do it again if you needed to?
Yeah, no, I always thought it was, first time as a kid I was exposed to it. It scared the crap out of me. I remember seeing my mom's friend on the floor convulsing, crying for Jesus, and that was the weirdest thing I ever saw. And then they all spoke in a different language later on, and that was weird. But later on was, I don't know, I don't remember, 10 or 11 or 13, somewhere around there. I asked to go up for prayer, and that was when everybody's being pushed down, and they all spoke in tongues and whatnot. They fall into the spirit, as they call it. I went up there, and every time the pastor, he pushes you, and he pushes you. He gets that oil, he puts it on his finger, and he just keeps pushing until you fall over. Or not, in my case. I just sat there, and man, it always scared me, though. Creepy stuff.
But when did you kind of know that you believe, or was it always that way?
It was always kind of a doubt, but at the same time, there was so much fear that I was afraid to doubt, afraid to explore those doubts, I remember asking little questions here and there. Something about Noah's Ark, my mom gave me a simple answer and I was okay with it. And I just never really questioned it. I remember I used to do puppet shows for the children. I mean, I was the indoctrinator. It was terrible. Gone full circle now, but
so
I guess it was
doing the Bible study.
Yeah, the kids, the children's Sunday school.
I feel like everybody, if you're in a church, you almost, it seems like you have to do it.
Right? Yeah, especially if you grow up in the church, you know everybody. But yeah, I mean, it was just always there in the back of my mind, and it just kind of pushed it out, and the fear got less and less as time went on. Like I said, movie quotes filled my brain more than Bible verses at the time. So, and then eventually I had a friend who just kind of explained it to me pretty simply, and at the time I wasn't really claiming to be a Christian or anything, and it just kind of was like, oh wow, that's kind of dumb. Why would I even believe in that anymore? And then I really started researching it because history was kind of fascinating to me. So I researched the history of Yahweh himself. Where did this God come from? Where does this religion come from? That was fun. That was an interesting ride. And then I dived into the book. I picked up the Bible, and the Bible says what? Just came to mind, and here we are.
Now, are you, when you record your show, are you like that scene in the movie where the lead character is about to like storm the base and he's got like all the guns lined up? Do you have all the different versions of the Bible? Like, do you have, bookmarks, and then you have the actual physical version of the Bible? Do you have them all ready to go?
I got my Bible always with me. It's always ready. I got my marks, and if I've got a particular story that I've just read, I'll put a big old bookmark on it and I'll throw it at the top. I love my note cards. I'm addicted and might be a little obsessed with these things. I put my favorite verses all over the wall. It's just where I sit and come up with all my ideas. But yeah, I mean, it's usually, it's all up there. I just don't know the specific, 13.5 or whatever. For most of them, I can get it, but every once in a while I'll trip up. I mean, it's a big book. There's a lot in there.
Well, you're only human. You're not perfect like all three of the gods.
Right, there you go. Yeah, and his ghost. Yeah, ugh.
It's a lot of fun. Do you have a favorite Bible verse?
Hebrews 9:22, without the shedding of blood, there is no forgiveness. That is the worst verse. I mean, it's a blood cult religion. You have to sacrifice something. Something has to die in order for this all-powerful deity to forgive you. That is disgusting. I mean, we're mere mortals. We're not special. We're not perfect. But, dude, I can forgive you for anything. I had a guy try to explain to me, if I come to your house and I knock over a lamp, somebody has to pay for it. Yeah, but I'm not going to kill him for it. I mean, that's a stupid analogy. The analogies these guys come up with are just so far-fetched. It's amazing to me. But
the harshness of the penalty, and then hell, which really wasn't defined that well, and still wasn't really in the New Testament, but definitely was more defined by everybody's favorite white guy, Jesus.
All right.
We'll say white Jesus. Okay, so let's try something a little different. So, since you've talked to a bunch of pastors, from the pastor point of view, why does God deserve worship despite being a murderous bastard?
Oh, this is my favorite one. Because he loves them. Because he loves them. I get that a lot. I even had one guy, it sounded to me like he was crying when he said that. Because he loves me. And it's like, man, you have to wipe away all the child killing. You have to, the suffering, making children suffer. I mean, Christ on a cracker. How do you justify the suffering of children? Because he loved them. He loves them. He'll forgive them of something they've done in their life, or he'll find their car keys is a great one. Their sports team won the big game. It's disgusting. And that's so scary, is that mentality that you're willing to forgive a documented child killer. What else are you willing to do? Who else are you willing to trust? Who are you going to elect? Scary stuff, man. Scary stuff.
So where does God kill kids in the Bible?
Well, the worst one, I believe, is Hosea 9. Well, it's kind of up and down with 2 Samuel, David's son, but Hosea 9, where he causes them to starve to death by making the breasts run dry. He's not making children or teenagers starve or adults starve. He's making infants who require milk to survive starve to death. Why? Because if you go back, it tells you that some of them were killing some of their children to another god. So Yahweh comes in and goes, screw you, I'm going to kill all of your kids. How is that loving? Where is this all-powerful loving being? It's just not there.
Well, I'd say it's out of context, but my favorite was the pastor who would not, even though you said, God said he'd kill the people, and then he killed the people. Like, God didn't kill kids.
God
but here's the part of the Bible where it says that God didn't kill kids. I at least respect the people who said, yeah, he did it, but hey, people suck. Why do people suck? Because God created them badly? No, we suck. Independently of God, who created us and knows what we're going to do.
Created us to suck.
That's the best
part. We would need him for love.
He's actually written the entire screenplay already, and every single time we turn our backs on him. Interesting.
He's terrible at his job.
Do Donald Trump and Yahweh have a lot in common? They seem to promise a lot, give nothing, take more than they get, have amorous thoughts toward relatives, and no matter what crazy shit they say or do, their followers are cemented into their positions.
There it is. There it is. It's scary. Religion is detrimental to our society.
I find the authoritarian bent of the people some of the people you talk to a little bit like, well, God says it, so it's true. So where did democracy come from? It definitely didn't come from Christianity. So this whole Christian nation thing.
Well, if Donald Trump said it's true.
Oh, gosh.
It's scary, man.
Now, I know you're focusing on Christianity, but you looked a little bit into Islam. Is there really such a thing as a monotheist religion? Like, Christianity has a trinity, and Mary, and then saints, and Judaism has God jealous of other gods, and then they're like gods and jinns and demons in Islam. So do we need like an asterisk next to the sign monotheism? Because I don't think it really exists. I think it's just like a label.
I would have to agree. The Trinity is very complex. It doesn't make any sense. But, to them, it's just, oh, of course, yeah, 3 people in one.
I mean, is that, because I know hell isn't really fleshed out in the Bible, but I don't think, is the Trinity really in the Bible? Wasn't it something that was kind of created later to solidify the fact that, no, Jesus, God, and this Holy Spirit thing are the same?
I think it's in there. I couldn't quote your verse right now, but I believe it's in there a few times. I could be wrong.
You just got to say more.
I rarely say the right thing. See?
I guess you've kind of answered this before, but do you have a favorite justification for something God did?
Yeah, I guess it would have to be the same thing because he loves them. Like it's so important to them that they receive this love from this being that is starving children to death or killing children at Passover for his own glorification. So he's God. Can't tell you any other way, but it just doesn't make any sense.
Now, would you ever have 2 Christians on your show to argue with each other about God, like a Catholic and an evangelical, or you could even have like a Mormon and a Scientologist? That'd be interesting.
Actually,
there could be all kinds of fun. You could do like a big bracket, and have the different sects battle out, and then people vote, and then you could have an ultimate winner. And then you would say, "This is it. This is the best one."
It's just the religion.
You have all kinds of ideas here tonight.
Yeah, well, I'll keep that in mind. Yeah, but I do. That was next episode. My last cliffhanger episode for number 9 will be. He's a Mormon priest. He's a Mormon high priest. So I do branch out from Christianity quite a bit. Even within Christianity, you branch out. There's an aliens episode coming up that is just going to shock everybody as well. It was some of these people, man, the stuff that comes out of their mouth, shocking.
I mean, I love the Mormon Church because it came out in a later date, so there's all this historical record behind it, and you can actually research it. And you've ever talked to like Bryce Blankenagel does Naked Mormonism,
Right.
It really gets into the history of it all. And it's like, it's there. You can actually see the reports of what the people did. You can see what the creator Joseph Smith was like arrested for fraud.
Actual history.
And it doesn't matter at all for the people who really believe, which kind of tells you something about people and belief.
Yeah, I go off of mainly just if they believe the Bible to be true, whether Mormon or, Catholic or whatever, no discrimination. As long as you believe that Bible to be true, let's have a conversation.
And they have the Return of the Jedi, Part 3 there with the Book of Mormon. So,
and everybody's got extra biblical sources too, which is hilarious. How is this a perfect book if you need extra biblical sources to understand it? How is Yahweh not the author of confusion? Lots of questions, man. Just easy, simple questions.
Okay, well, from your studies, what is sin?
Sin. Well, sin is something that Yahweh doesn't like. He created it to, let's see, was it Romans 5:20, that was it. The law was added so that sin would increase, and then the wages of sin is death. So sin is the tool that Yahweh uses to send us to hell. Just came up with that.
Hell forever.
Sounds about right.
It's like, well, everybody sins except for Jesus. Telling people like take a sword and leave your family. Was that a sin? I don't even know.
It wasn't a sin. You can't even take a shit on Sunday. It's a sin. Don't wipe your ass. He's stoned to death.
So why is it always humanity's fault to do the things that God invented?
Why is it always humanity's fault to do the things that God invented?
Well, it's our fault. It's the people's fault about the tree. Although I like might have to talk about the rabbi who's in, I think it was episode 7.
He was very interesting. Very interesting approach. And then he came up with his own questions. It's like, yeah, great question, man.
You asked him a question. He's like, no, let me tell you what a question is.
I got a good one, too.
I thought it interesting that he said that Adam and Eve were, like, really smart when the whole story in the Bible was about them being dumb. And then God's like, don't do this thing. And then they did it an hour later. Like, did you do it an hour later or 5 seconds later? It's kind of like telling your cat not to, like, eat that random thing off the floor. And they're like, oh, that thing. Okay.
Children.
Don't put the idea in their head, in short.
Don't eat that poison. Come on. What's wrong with you?
You tend to take pastors on a literal Bible interpretation. Do you ever talk to them about the fact that nothing depicted in the Old Testament and New Testament actually like happened?
No, I think every once in a while I'll try and dive into it a bit, but I feel it just gets too off topic. I like to come at it from the point of view of the Bible as being true because that's what they believe. They believe that this is all true. So if this is all true, then this. That's just the approach I take to it. And it's pretty much all my knowledge is biblical. If you wanted me to go to the history and stuff, I'd have to study again and write some more notes. But I can't just fly off the cuff on those. I try to keep the Bible says what show mainly biblical and mainly ask them biblical questions. But sometimes we spawn off on the religion itself and what they believe personally, of course. It's going to happen. But history so much, I'm not so much on the well-versed at.
We all have to have our specialties. So why does God think that girls in their periods are so icky?
Oh, man. The cooties, man. They're so scared of it. I don't understand. Doesn't make any sense to me that even a doctor can't explain it. I mean, if a doctor can't explain it, then Yahweh's mute. He doesn't say nothing. Who can tell us?
You had the female doctor on who was like, I think her profession was incorrect. I think she should have been a preacher. I mean, it depends on the sect. Some allow them. But that was where the whole, now you have to kill the dove because you touched it, the whole bit. I mean, you had the whole 1 Timothy part, which, by the way, I think they've proved that part wasn't actually written by Paul, but it's still in the Bible. It's great that it's like hey, we proved it, and actually, like, biblical scholars are like, yeah, it's not true, but it's staying. Because we'd have to cut it out with, like, an X-Acto knife, and that would suck.
Scissor Christians, man, they're all over. They all have to be scissor Christians.
I couldn't tell because the doctor was, talking about how she was trying to, like, spiritually heal people, which is a totally different profession than being a doctor.
Nuts,
and
man.
Possibly ethically not kosher. I'll even say kosher. But it sounded like she was reading the Bible. I couldn't tell if it was, like, the first time she had really, really read it.
Yeah.
That's something that a lot of atheist podcasts do, is they try to, read the Bible, and then it's like, oh, this is the first time I really, really read it. And wow, there's some really crazy stuff in there.
Yeah. Let's present this to the pastors. Let's see what they think.
But is there any good explanation why women are clearly lesser in the Bible and don't hide behind the Old Testament? Oh, it's the old law.
It's ding ding, dude. It's in the New Testament. It's in one of those 1 Timothy, 1 Chronicles 1, or Corinthians.
First, one of them's a woman can't.
There it is.
Even talk in church.
It is 1 Timothy 2:11-15. A woman should learn in quietness and full submission. I do not permit a woman to teach and have authority over a man. She must be silent. For Adam was formed first, then Eve. And Adam was not the one deceived. It was the woman who was deceived and became a sinner. But woman will be saved through childbearing, and they will continue in faith, love, and holiness with whatever. So their explanation is because she sinned first. That's disgusting. That's horrible. So now we're going to treat women as lesser beings. We're going to give them contagious cooties every time they have a monthly cycle. That's just so dumb. It just doesn't make any sense. It just doesn't make any sense. That's why I have to, at one point, sometimes I just tell them, my questions are the real questions. I'm not trying to be silly. It's your book that's silly. It's not my questions. It's not a silly question to find out why he thinks it's icky, because he clearly thinks it's icky. And foreskin, it's like Yahweh away.
Oh,
don't touch him with foreskin. Get him away. It's
so
that Moses
the story. Yeah, the Moses' wife story, right? And the foreskin. What was the whole story?
Unbelievable. It just comes out of nowhere. Yahweh's talking, let's do all this.
I want to hear about a Gam movie that depicts this, like, realistically, where, like, Moses says to God, like, hey, look over there, there's someone behind you, and his wife, like, slices the foreskin off like or I'm dicing, like, tuna for, like, sushi.
I want a Sunday school coloring book page.
And I say magic words, and it's all better.
and he poof, it goes away. Okay, I'll leave him alone. That's so weird. It's so weird. Nobody can explain that one, Half the stuff is just new to them. Oh yeah.
But there's no real explanation. I mean, only Christians say Judeo-Christians. I don't see the Jewish people, except for the ones who are trying to make a lot of money as, like, conservative radio hosts, like, clumping on to Christianity. How do you do the brain connection of, they still haven't totally explained, so the old law was banished, but then Jesus also said that the old law wasn't banished? I don't know. Give me a straight answer. I know, it's like they're Wonder Woman with her magical. Like,
exactly. It's exactly what happens. Mm-hmm. It's terrible. I mean, just give me a straight answer. It's not that hard. Yes, no. Where is it? What's the verse? Oh, you don't know. Just say I don't know. It's not that hard. Ask me a tough question, or maybe an easy question. If I don't know it, I'll tell you. It's right. It's not comfortable. Something in their brain doesn't let that gear move. And it's like, wait, what? He makes children suffer. No, he can't do that. That's impossible. Not my God. He's full of love. He loves me.
I know there was, like, a version of Christianity where they were just like, let's just forget the Old Testament and let's just do the New Testament. And I think that it'd be a religion that would make more sense, but I don't think it would have made it past, like, the 4th century.
There's still terrible things in the New Testament.
They had to steal the old part. But hey, in your intro though, you do mention the apocalypse, or what's the last book?
The musical apocalypse. Actually, that's chapter 1 of my book is in the beginning, and the last chapter of my book is the musical apocalypse. So it's from in the beginning to the musical.
Or is it jazz? What kind of music?
But no, the actual apocalypse in Revelation has trumpets. We've got singing people. We've got singing eyeball monsters. It's insanity. So it's a very musical apocalypse. So Yahweh wants a lot of singing. And at one point, he says that every living creature on the planet, which, worms and cockroaches and raccoons are all going to stop what they're doing and sing praises to Yahweh. How is this book taken seriously? That doesn't make any sense. Lots of questions.
I guess we have to take something seriously.
By faith. That's how it works. If you don't play along, it's not going to work.
So do you have kids? I think you mentioned that before.
Yeah, sometimes little spoiler, they kind of interrupt sometimes. You can't hear them, but they're there. So sometimes the interviews get cut a little bit short because of the kids. But two amazing, smart children, and they're here in the background at all times. They're right outside this door, just waiting.
So someone who is raised in religion, what is it like to raise kids as an atheist? And are there challenges? Because I feel like parents might always be kind of steering you in the direction of, I see the signs around, vacation Bible school, just drop your kids off and don't worry, we'll teach them.
Yeah, it's tough, man. It is tough. I never miss an opportunity to teach. My kids are very fascinated with animals and how things work. I'm teaching my 4-year-old chess right now. So they're pretty smart kids. They can reason, and with chess, I use that as a life lesson as well. You always got to think ahead. Think what's going to happen when you move this piece, when you move over here and you do this, when you make this action, what's going to be the repercussions. So I kind of take every opportunity I can to teach them to think for themselves, to think ahead. We don't do Santa Claus or any stuff like that. We explain to them that certain people believe these things. But we, this is why we don't. And it's tough, man. There's no book. I have no idea what I'm doing with kids. I have no idea what I'm doing with podcasts. I just do what I feel is important and needs to be done. And that's why I'm here. And that's why I'm trying to do the best I can with my kids too.
I forgot to ask earlier, where are you located?
I am in Vegas. I do some recording.
Of course, you're in the den of sin.
Yeah. It's hot as hell.
It's not the heat, it's the humidity. It's what they say where I am. Now, you do these interviews. Do you have stuff that's recorded that people hung up on you really quickly, or it's oh, this isn't quite usable?
Yeah, I have some, man. I can't remember. It's something Jenkins. It was all set up. It was the most amazing, and he was so mad through the whole interview. And he's this big pastor in California, I guess. He's got a bigger following than, of course I do, but he's bigger than me. And I was like, oh man, it would have been so amazing to have him on the podcast. But he did something and my voice didn't record at all. So I lost that whole interview. I still kick myself for that. So now I double check and I make sure everything works fine. But there are some that I don't put on air. I'm still working on recording equipment. I got some better stuff now, but some of the stuff just wasn't really worth. The sound quality wasn't as good. So if you hear something, the sound quality is not that great, that means I'm still transitioning through microphones at that point. So I apologize. Grow with me. But yeah.
So what's the story with the flag behind you?
Oh man, it's just a pirate flag. Two different kinds of people in the world, pirates or ninjas. I'm kind of a pirate. I'm more loud. I'm not so sneaky.
Well, ninjas have the mask, and that would really mess with your audio quality.
Yeah, that too. Yeah.
Now, there's this talk by the pastors that Jesus made this great sacrifice, even though the sacrifice, they give him credit for 3 days, but it's 2.5 at most.
It's not really a full 3 days.
I mean, of course, if you're reading David Fitzgerald's book about Jesus' mythicism, you can see the difference between the Gospels and like the time isn't the same for each one, and some of them are in different years. Yeah. But would it make more sense if Jesus had actually sacrificed and he had gone to hell and taken our place instead of like fake died and then now he's in heaven and everything's fine?
It would make more sense.
Here in, the sandwiches?
It'd make more sense if this all-powerful being who can do anything would just forgive somebody without having to kill something. That would make it a whole lot easier. Let's just be all-powerful and all-loving and forgive people without having to send your son down to suffer and die. It just makes no goddamn sense.
I'm thinking you might be the prophet we need, because you could write the sequel to the Bible, not the Book of Mormon, not the Dianetics, but the one where God's actually like really nice and just says, "Say you're sorry, cool, okay.
Hey, wait a minute,
you half meant it. I'm taking it. You're good."
Yeah, and the guy in the Bible that was actually Satan the whole time.
Because it's great to hear because you had the rabbi on who's like, "Hell forever? No, you just go to hell for a little bit."
Right. Oh,
but the Christians who are just like, "No, you like stole a loaf of bread. You're gonna burn you're gonna have the torture beyond anyone can imagine forever."
Yeah, it's terrible. There's no justification for any of that. Really, I try and dance around it, but yeah, I've heard mental gymnastics, but it's something else. Eventually, I'll come up with a term for it.
Now, there has to be a certain amount of stress doing this kind of conversations. This is why I don't talk to Christians or people I disagree with, just because I know I get stressed and I know it wouldn't be a very good show. When you do this all the time and you're having these sometimes antagonistic calls, how are you able to kind of like unwind and relax and get away from the show? I know this is all about the show, but occasionally you have to get away.
Yeah, I play video games with the wife. We're pretty good at the Marvel versus Capcom. We go back and forth. First 1 to 10 wins the infamous headband of victory. Right now, I lost the headband, so that's how I unwind. We just kick each other's ass in video games.
Well, that sounds good. Okay, we're getting toward the end. Let's do the joke thing now. I'm going to start.
Sounds good.
Because I was in Asheville last weekend. I got to hang out with 2 awesome atheists, Professor Steven and Jim Dobler. We drank some beer. And I also went kayaking. And before kayaking, they have to give you a little safety test. And they also tell you a joke because there's little kids around. So this is definitely a kid joke. So here it is. What's a pile of kittens? You're supposed to say what?
What? Oh, yeah. This is radio, man.
A meowton.
Oh, Jesus.
I hope he can top that.
That was fantastic, because I'm going to go with a dog joke. I'll brush it up from 5th grade. I used to have this joke book, and the only thing I remember was what was on the cover. And it was dogs around a pizza that said, what is the dog's favorite cheese topping on a pizza?
What is that?
Mozzarella.
Mozzarella, see? Wow, cat and dog is getting along. Mass hysteria. This is crazy.
Awesome.
Well, where do people find your show? And technically, if you stopped now, how many more episodes would you have?
If I stopped recording?
Because you won't. But if
no, never. Oh, my God. Man, I can't stop.
If one of those world-ending things actually happened for once.
I guess if all my equipment got burned up, then I was
came back.
Then I'd have to stop. But
it's because of you that it came back. I was like, all right, fine.
Right now, I'm about 10 episodes. I can do pretty much done that I can just throw up. But further from that, I got a couple more. Definitely some interesting interviews lined up. Maybe 3 or 4 episodes after that for some more interviews. I don't know where to put them yet. So, but yeah, a lot of fun material. I'm on iTunes, Facebook. Bible Says What on Facebook, YouTube. I'm on YouTube. It's tough to find me on YouTube because YouTube just does not like me for some reason. It likes the other Bible Says What guy with the lion logo. Don't go to that one. That's not me. But we're on YouTube eventually if you find me. I'm maybe under Pastor Wiseman or BSW, the podcast, somewhere in there. Just don't give up. But I'm more active on Facebook, and we're starting the Patreon page at patreon.com/BSW, the podcast. We're going to do bloopers on there if you're a patron. We're going to do unaired material like you were asking me. I have quite a few little clips of stuff that I like to, and some bloopers with me and the wife trying to record stuff and get stuff done. So a lot of fun stuff. I'm even going to leave it up there so patrons can have possibly a question answered on air too. So a lot of fun stuff coming up. We're just growing. I thank you to all the fans. Oh man, I can't even imagine how I got over 200 subscribers just starting out. It's fantastic. People loving the show and all the compliments. Thank you to everybody who shared and really helped us and been there with us since the beginning. I really appreciate it. All of you. Thank you.
You should thank Jesus.
Yeah, that guy. I don't know.
Well, thank you, Michael, for being on the show. It's been great.
Appreciate it. Thank you, man. Thanks for having me.
Bring a freaking rub beverage. Come on.
Yeah.
We are pirates. Yar.
Yar. Yeah.
Yar is how we do it.
Oh, yeah. For radio.
Intermission music. This live read, this isn't a new series by any measure, but if you really want to know what the bottom is in YouTube skepticism, check out Kevin Logan's The Descent of Manosphere series, in which he sports many different outfits and hairstyles while showing the worst of skeptical and non-skeptical YouTube, from Milo to many of the guests at this year's MythCon. So I got to meet up with Jim Dobler and Professor Stephen Ballou in Asheville last weekend. First of all, go to Asheville. The food's great, the beer's pretty swell, and the kayaking ain't bad. We hung out at the New Belgium Brewery, had a few beers, and reminisced about the days when the atheist community seemed smaller but nicer. Sadly, Atheists on Air and Cash have left us, but Stephen still has his unique fashion sense, and Jim is not a podcaster, but to know him is to love him, and if he's at a conference, it's probably a good one. If you want to support this show, go to patreon.com/Zachrilege, Zachrilege. Be like Bobby, Hugh, Teody, Larry, Daryl, and the other Daryl, and support me. Follow me on Twitter at Zachrilege, like the Zachrilege Cast page on Facebook, and send all mail to zachrilege.cast@gmail.com. Thank you to Michael again for being on tonight. Things seem rather dark right now, what with the thunderstorms and you thought I was talking about America. Hey now, the country's still here, and don't forget that we re-elected Nixon and W, so maybe we'll figure out an escape route. Hey there, Deb, can I crash on your couch? Corey? Bueller?